It's that time of year where Kevin Held gives you his do not draft list. Players that he absolutely, positively does not want the Saints to draft. And I'm here to tell you, kids, he's throwing gasoline on the fire. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to Saints Happy Hour Podcast. Yeah, we're that podcast that wins awards.
Go.
Oh my God.
He looks like Ash from the end of Alien.
Usually, Dave, I can just open my throat and it's down.
Now grab a drink and enjoy the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour Podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. All right, I got Thomas running the show back in Poland. I got Kevin playing hurt, by the way. Everybody, if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to the audio version, please put a comment. Helps us with the algorithm. And do it for us. If you don't do it for me, do it for Kevin. He's playing hurt today. His voice has been shot. He's been doing wrestling announcing, multiple podcasts with me, doing karaoke on dates. So he's playing hurt. We appreciate Kevin. You should appreciate Kevin. So help us out. Like, subscribe, share this wherever you can. All right, Kevin.
Got a cup of coffee right now. I'll be drinking some throat coat once I'm done with this. I've got my throat spray.
Mm-hmm. Throat coat, Malort. They need to be sponsored this podcast. If they
really
Malort,
should.
If Malort or Throat Coat executives stumble onto the Saints Happy Hour podcast. So, here's the thing. Kevin's been doing an amazing job with the draft, and I said to him off camera, and I'll say it again. I listen to like a billion NFL podcasts, and I can say like Kevin, he knows these players. He knows them better than me, and he probably knows them better than you. Listen, because he's doing on the PFF mock draft simulator, doing hundreds of these mock drafts, so he knows like the capsules, the weights, the measurements, all of it. So I said to Kevin, I want you to give me a list of like 4 dudes that you're like, I don't want the Saints to draft. I don't want them touching them. I don't want to, I don't want the Saints to draft them high, or I don't want them to, it can be a combination of that, or it can be, I don't want to draft them at all. But before we get to the players specifically, Kevin, how do you you talk about it and then I'll give you mine, but I want your sort of, it doesn't have to be exact formula, right? Because nobody can give you an exact reason unless it's like, hey, he got arrested, he beat a woman, he beat his girlfriend, he beat his kid. Like, we're not going to deal with like legal stuff unless you like have a couple that it's like dicey and you're like, no, I don't like this dude. He's got too much of like little legal things. But the formula is inexact. Like some of us, we just like, I don't like that guy. So what's your kind of like formula process where you like, nah, I don't want that guy. And it doesn't have, like, I'm going to tell you, some of mine are just like totally like, just like, fuck that guy. I don't like him. Like it's not based in rational thought at all.
Right. Well, look, I think the one word that you hear the most from me whenever we're talking about drafting people and who we're looking at, it's vibes.
Mm-hmm.
See, I used the cough button that time.
That's good. You're a professional.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. It's vibes. It's how do I think they fit on the team as currently constituted? And how do I think they will play and perform on this team in 2025, 2026? So I'm saying that because one of my selections or one of my guys that I'm saying don't take is very much a lights match. Tosses it behind me and walks away while the building explodes.
How much of this, because my sort of don't draft or I don't want them high, a lot of that formula is like, I look at guys that don't have production or have been injured.
Yeah.
And you combine that with like being a 1-year player, I really don't like. Like you got a guy that's like especially these days in the transfer portal, right? Where you're like, he's played 4 years at 3 different schools and he was complete cheeks. But this last year, he had 10.5 sacks. And all those injuries, don't worry about them. Those were when he was a freshman. Like that kind of guy, I'm like, no.
Right.
I'm like, I don't like it. So those are my sort of things. And it's not either or. To me, it's like when you combine 2 bad things. If the Saints take a high Raz guy, but he doesn't have great film, and it's second, third round, I'm like, okay, whatever. But when you combine high Raz guy and no film, or high Raz guy and he has an injury and he doesn't have great film, and it's like you combine 2 bad things, then I'm like, so that's me. So
right. Also, I look at my own tier list of what do the Saints need the most?
Yeah.
Or like, what is it that the Saints need?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that like I've said that I've come around on if they were to take Tyler Warren at 9, he's one of those guys that I would be happy with. Even though to me, even though when you look at the depth chart, tight end is sort of looks okay.
Yeah.
But there's enough question marks on that where it's like, no, you should take the tight end, even though I may not have the tight end at rated number 1 on my. That's the must. That's the must need. But Ty Warren, I would absolutely be like, yeah, if he's there at 9 and you want to take him at 9, go ahead. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'll still say you should trade down at 40 or something. But whatever.
Before we get one last thing, now I'm coughing. One last thing before we start the list. Is there anything as because you've been doing this, you've been doing the hardcore mock drafting for what, like 4 or 5 years at least?
I think longer? 3.
3, yeah. So like
3 or 4.
Is there anything that as you've done this and you've sort of, I don't want to say like learned the data, but like been immersed in it, is there anything of your like biases that you've like started to not necessarily flip, but question? And I'll give you an example for me. I used to be like a guy before we started doing all this draft stuff. I'd be like, if the guy's Raz was pretty good and his tape was awesome, if his size was bad, I'd be like, I don't care about size. Screw it. You got Sam Mills. You got all these Darren Sproles. You got all these guys. They played great and they were small. And I used to be like, I didn't care about size. But as you've started to done this and we've sort of going over it, I'm sort of really like a size snob. Like, because here's the thing. If you pick a really small dude, like he's going to be an exception in the NFL. So like these measurements for like the basic measurements for all these positions, like I know people get on the Saints about Raz, but they really do kind of matter. And like me from 2-3 years ago didn't care about size as much. Now I'm kind of a size queen. I'm not going to lie. Is there anything with this draft?
I was going to say that. I was absolutely going to tell you that.
I beat you to it. Is there anything that you've kind of like changed your opinion on, or you're thinking, I used to think this, but now I don't necessarily?
No, not really, because I'm just looking at numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at numbers, vibes, and need.
Yeah.
For the Saints, it's like I think the one thing that I've sort of maybe noticed the most this year is, and I do the mock drafts in PFF, and I also do them in PFN.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried doing more of them in PFN, so I have like a
balance.
Yeah, sort of a balance, because there are people in our mock draft channel in our Discord, and
which is amazing, by the way.
You can access the Discord if you're a member.
It's amazing. You should do it.
There are people who like using PFN, prefer that over PFF. There's a few people that I think use Walter Football or something like that, or another one, and I've tried using those, and they're a little too wonky or whatever. I prefer PFF. My point is, PFF and PFN have some players ranked way different. Like
Cam Ward. Cam Ward kind of breaks the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a guy like Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
Cam Skattebo. In PFF, he's about 47 to 52. Somewhere in that range. In PFN, sorry. He's somewhere in the early 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See,
there's another running back from Texas named Jaden Blue.
Yeah.
Who I've started to come around on as like, you know, if you get the old Thunder Lightning combo, he's like the lightning guy. He ranks in the early hundreds, like I think around 110 to 120 in PFF. PFN, I've seen him past 200.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I kind of wonder, does PFN rank running backs generally lower? But, you know, you still see Ashton Genty go in the top 10 on both.
But it's a good reminder. It's a good reminder, like, the computers, the models say one thing, and the teams on draft day are going to say another. Like, we're going to see a guy. I guarantee you there's going to be at least, because the Saints hopefully keep their picks, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 guys where I think the Saints are going to pick them if they hold the picks, and you're going to be like, man, I like this guy. This guy, he was ranked, you know, 157, and they got him at 200 or whatever. They got him as a UDFA. I think it's going to be different. So I think that this is a great reminder. The models and the teams, it's going to diverge at some point.
Don't be married to one mock draft tool. Like, again, my preferred one is PFF because of the way they lay it out and the data you can get in it for each player and all that kind of stuff. PFN is pretty nice in its own way because they'll give you a RAS score if there is one available. And they won't give you stats. They just give you like a 1-paragraph write-up. But honestly, you should use them. You should use like PFF and PFN. You should pick a third one and play with all of them and just see what comes out, like what shows up. Don't be married to one mock draft tool because you're going to get stuck in this mindset that I'll give you another example. The tight end in Miami, Arroyo. I've seen him go as high as the mid-40s on PFF. In PFN, the highest he goes is somewhere in the 70s.
Yeah, it's around.
Like usually, like the Saints have picked 93. There's a lot of times where Arroyo is sitting there at 93 for the Saints, and guess what?
Boom!
I'm running to the podium to get him at 93.
All right, so let's start with the guys you're not going to be running to the podium to get. Who's your first guy?
Okay, so the stipulations, and I know Ralph said it, but I'm going to say it again to make sure people really understand what I'm doing here. My biggest fear in life is being misunderstood.
Yes.
Or one of them is being misunderstood. It's the Saints. There's no trades. They keep all their picks.
That's right.
Ralph told me, take the first 4 picks. They're the top 100 picks. So it's 9, 40, 71, and 93.
That's right.
It is, who do you not pick one player? Who do you not want them to draft at that number?
That's right.
They could feasibly draft them later if that was the case.
But not there.
Or if the Saints did trade down in real life and they were like, all right, we weren't going to take this guy at 40, but we got him at 52 or 58 or something.
Changes.
I could be like, okay, fine. That feels better or whatever. Again, I'm the feelings vibes guy. Whatever.
That's right.
So at pick 9, I sort of had my pick of the litter here because there's a lot of guys.
There is.
That I either don't want or don't think fit on the team to be drafted
at 9.
At pick 9. I'm going to give you some other names because this is the one that I was like really debate. This was the toughest one. I thought, do I say Shedeur Sanders?
Ooh.
I've seen Shedeur Sanders go way later in mock drafts. Maybe that's just
you're trying to get the people angry.
Oh no, I am going to get the people angry.
Yeah.
But I've seen him go way later in mock drafts. So the idea of picking him at 9 seems silly. I think if somebody takes him,
I have no idea. I've given up. I have no idea about him.
It feels like a reach.
I have no idea about him, Kevin. He could go Cleveland, and the Giants could be blowing smoke, and he could go 2-3. He could go to Pittsburgh. He could go late first when a team trades back in. He could fall all the way to the second. I have no idea with him. But continue.
Right. I thought of Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that the Saints need help in the secondary. I know they need help in the secondary. I also thought of Jahdae Barron from Texas, cornerback. He and Starks both started. They started for at least 3 years,
and
their numbers look good. The thing with Barron is he's a 5'11" corner. I'm not saying 5'11" corners can't play in the NFL. They absolutely can. But that's a big fear for me.
Yeah.
That's a big concern of mine. With Starks, it's like the things that I look at that the Saints need go beyond the secondary. Like I would put, they need a wide receiver. They need an edge defender. They need a guard, at least one guard. You can say cornerback or tight end.
Yeah.
And even if you rated cornerback 3rd, again, 5'11", that spooks me just enough. That gives me enough pause. So I would say no. But the guy that I'm saying, do not take at 9, if he's there, drum roll please, Ashton Jeanty.
Oh my God.
Running back at Boise.
Thomas, lock the door. Thomas, lock the doors, put the bar on it, go into hiding wherever you are. My God, Kevin, if Jeanty is there at 9,
yeah,
and the Saints either do not draft him or do not trade out to get more picks and pick someone else, this fan base is gonna have an aneurysm.
Listen, if he is there at 9, trade, take all the calls. Field all the calls.
Here's my question. Here's my question, because no, this podcast isn't about me. This is about you in this podcast. So I have a question for you. Do you hate picking Ashton Jeanty enough at 9 to where a team like, I don't know, not the Dolphins, because they need offensive line because Teron Armstead retired, but a team like Pittsburgh, who needs a running back, or Dallas, or freaking whoever, they call up Mickey Loomis and they say, Mickey Loomis, we'll do a trade. But when Mickey Loomis goes to the trade chart, he looks at it and he's like, they're only giving us, I'll be realistic, they're only giving us 90% of what the trade chart tells us. This is not Mickey Loomis, because Mickey Loomis probably wouldn't do it. But if you're there and you're like, these teams, I got 3 offers and none of them give me 100% of the trade value chart.
Right.
And I know they want Jeanty. Do you say, I'm taking 90% of the trade value and I'm moving down, or I'm taking Jeanty, or I'm taking something else? Do you dislike Jeanty that much that you would take a trade where you don't get 100% value?
I would definitely consider taking 90% of the value of the 9th pick to move off of Jeanty. And here's the thing. It's not I'm trying to find this guy's RAS, and I don't think it exists.
It doesn't. It doesn't. He didn't run. He didn't.
Right, because I don't think he's done some of the drills.
He hasn't. And that to me is not a. It's not a giant red flag. It's not even like a giant flashing red light.
Yeah,
but it is something that he wouldn't do all the drills.
I mean, it's a slight thing. It's a slight thing. But I've said this in our, where it's just me and you. I've said this in those pods, and I've said it on the big show. I've said it in the Discord. The thing about taking Ashton Jeanty, and in fact, I tell you what, I'll even read. I'll even read this guy's numbers, so you can really hate. I've got numbers for the last 3 years. According to PFF, the guy's got a rushing grade of 96.6, zone grade of 93.7. He only had 3 drops of passes in 2024.
Got a little fumble problem. Got a little fumbling problem.
So,
gonna be fair.
He ran for over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2022. 2023, he doubled his touchdowns to 14 and ran for 1,344 yards. In 2024, he doubled his touchdowns again, scored 29 touchdowns, and ran for nearly 2,600 yards.
God.
How this guy didn't win the Heisman is it still shocks me. Like, I get it, Travis Hunter.
Play both ways was amazing, yeah.
Like, both the two-way player. Like, it's one of those, you get it.
But you don't get it.
You get it. Or it's like, you understand, but you don't get it.
That's right.
Or you get it, but you don't understand. It's like, you see it, but.
No, I hear you.
So, look, this guy seems like a slam dunk pick. Obviously, slam dunk pick. The problem is, on this Saints team, he has a mediocre offensive line to work behind, as currently constituted. And everybody that screams David Carr sucks and all this kind of stuff.
Full Ralph.
If you believe...
His name is Derek.
I said David? God damn it. And I pulled a Ralph.
That's right.
If you believe that Derek Carr is the drizzling shits, and that putting Ashton Jeanty there means that he is their number one weapon, what do you think is going to happen to Ashton Jeanty?
That's right.
Behind a mediocre offensive line,
bad quarterback,
and a average at best quarterback,
and a receiving core that's not great,
and a receiving core that is one good hit away from going in the blue tent and filling out change of address forms to reside in the blue tent.
That's right.
Like this, and then your top tight end option is
Juwan Johnson is not quite a tight end.
Well, no, I was going to say Juwan Johnson is going to be your top tight end option because who knows what's going to happen.
He's not quite really a tight end, though. He's like a, Right.
So defenses are going to lock this guy down. And it's just going to be, we're going to look at, we drafted a running back and this guy's getting locked down and he's not living up to his full potential. And it's just going to be annoying and sad for 2, maybe even 3 years.
Yeah.
If this team had a better offensive line, I could be sold on taking Ashton Jeanty at 9.
But you can't.
Not trading down. But we don't. We don't have a good offensive line.
Well, you just angered Saints Twitter. They're gonna come at both of us. It's fine. But that's an interesting thought process. I think the more interesting pick that is going to get that people will be even more divisive about will be your choice at pick 40, because I think pick 40, the strong opinions just get more varied and stuff. So we'll see. But Genty, it's going to be topped. It's going to be hard for you to top that. That will anger Saints Twitter immensely, because Saints Twitter, I mean, listen, we're fans. We're all about running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. We love them. They do fun stuff. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, corners, and all that. They're not as fun. So pick 40. If he's there, if the Saints picked him, who would you be like, I don't know about this. I don't like this.
Yeah. So I said that one of the Saints' positions of need, corner.
That's right.
Now, they're going to need a guy who can match up with Alontae Taylor or challenge Kool-Aid McKinstry on the opposite side to get the starting spot.
That's right.
So the guy at 40, hang on, I want to make sure I'm pulling up.
And remember, Alontae Taylor, better in the slot. They really need they need Kool-Aid, another outside corner. You put Alontae Taylor back in the slot. That's the ideal situation, probably.
Right. And I want to make sure because I think I accidentally pulled up the wrong fella. All right. All right. Now I've got him. Got the right guy now.
If you say my guy's name, I'm going to fight you, but go.
I don't think it'll be your guy. The funny thing is this guy doesn't have a RAS because they have no 40-yard dash.
Ooh, that's bad.
No agility testing. No explosiveness testing. They don't even have a bench test. They got his height and his weight.
Okay.
Height and weight-wise, they give him the green, they give him the great, but they have nothing else to go on.
They have nothing else, yeah. Who is it?
Siobhan Revell. He's the cornerback for East Carolina. PFF has him rated 43 on their big board.
Yeah.
And I've seen him available at 40 numerous times. Now, I've seen other corners available at 40, and I grabbed them.
Amos from Ole Miss.
I grabbed them.
That's my guy.
Who, Siobhan Revell?
No, Amos.
Oh, yeah, no. Trey Amos from Ole Miss. He's
my guy.
If he's there at 40,
he's my guy.
I would be like, okay, let's go. But the question was, who would you absolutely not want to see them grab?
That's fair, because here's the thing.
And it's Siobhan Revell.
The teams probably maybe have the measurements if he's doing private personal workouts, but smaller school, I don't like.
Right.
And corner is one of those positions it's really hard to judge, because no matter what level you're at, no matter what level you play at, whether it's it's big time college football, small school, whatever, a team can say, oh, Missouri Central State, Kevin is their all conference corner. We're just not going to throw at him. So you can have these corners that have all these measurables, and the tape on them, you're like, I don't know. He never does anything. They never throw at him, right? So it becomes really difficult to grade. Red flag, no measurements, small school. I like that. The thing is, for me, Kevin, go ahead.
I got an even bigger red flag for you.
Go ahead.
His best season was his 2023 season. He only had one pick.
Yeah.
But he ran that pick back for a touchdown.
Nice.
Was on the field for over 650 snaps. And played wide receiver. You know what? Played wide receiver. Had limited action as a wide receiver, so that might be why he has the touchdown. That might not be a pick six. but opposing quarterbacks passer rating was 62.6. That looks good.
Yeah.
His 2024 season, he only saw 204 snaps.
Ooh, I don't like this. I don't like that.
And played in 3 games.
Ooh, see, I don't like, no.
Why did he play in only 3 games? Because he tore his ACL.
Oh, no. You can't, the Saints can't be bringing, the Saints cannot, I don't care what the new strength and conditioning staff and the Saints cannot be bringing in injured dudes. You can't be drafted dudes that are, their knees are already in bad shape. No, absolutely freaking not. You, Kevin, that's great podcasting. You saved the juiciest part for the conclusion. That's great podcasting out of you. Absolutely freaking not.
When a team has this many holes,
yes,
you can't bring in somebody that comes in with an immediate injury concern.
That's right.
You just can't. You can't.
That's right.
You can't do it. If cornerback looked better,
maybe
you could say we're going to take a flyer on this guy. I'd still be opposed at 40. But again, if the Saints traded back and got something else, and then you could say, all right, instead of having 4 top 100 picks, we now have 6 top 100 picks. We feel better taking a flyer on this guy because if he works out, we've it's almost like we've skipped a grade in terms of how our secondary looks.
Yeah, and if you have, like you say, if you have 5, 6, top 100 picks or whatever, and maybe he's a pick, maybe he falls because of the injury, and you pick him, you're like, okay, we pick him at 110, and we're gonna redshirt him. You're like, okay, cool, because you traded down and you had 7 picks in the top 120. That's cool. I'm down with that. Like this rebuild isn't a 1-year plan, right?
Correct.
So I like that, but the knee injury, no.
Yeah,
it can't happen.
Yeah. That's
so
just
now
terrifying.
Terrifying. Pick 71. Who you got?
Right. See, I think this is the one that's going to anger the most people.
Maybe more than Genty?
Even more than Ashton Genty.
Oh, my God.
This is a fellow with a really good RAS score, 8.88.
Ooh, I like that.
No explosive testing on him. He's got good
all across the board.
He's got good in agility, speed, and size. Hand size, highest rated you can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
So, a big-handed fella.
Yeah.
Tight end.
Uh-oh.
Arguably the third or fourth rated tight end in the
oh my God, here we go. Oh no.
In the tight end.
You're not gonna do it. Are you not? Oh my,
Mason Taylor.
You're a draft terrorist.
Mason Taylor. That's
oh my God. You're a draft terrorist. You're a draft terrorist. Thomas, that might be.
You know what? Maybe that's the picture you put.
That's the thumbnail, Thomas.
Maybe that's the thumbnail, yeah.
You are a football You don't want to draft Mason Taylor. You explain yourself. Explain yourself, Mr. Held.
Okay. So the word on him, and look, the stats, I think it's the stats that maybe put me off of him just a little bit.
Yes.
So look, I've got numbers for the last 3 years. 38, 36, 55 catches each of the last 3 years. And that's going from 2022 to 2024.
That's right.
He's had the last 3 years a combined 6 touchdown catches.
Yeah. Touchdowns are flaky. We can let that slide.
Okay. But I just think that not having enough catches or enough touchdowns, and then his run block grade is a 59.1.
Yeah.
That gives me enough pause.
Yeah. And
to just say Mason Taylor at 71.
Yeah.
Again, hesitating. And that's why I can't do it. Look, the top 2 tight ends are Tyler Warren, and Colston Loveland. After that, I think it's a big-ass gap. And then you got Mason Taylor, and you got Arroyo, and I can't remember who the fifth guy is. I would put Arroyo ahead of Mason Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
If my options were Arroyo or Taylor at 71, I would take Arroyo.
Yeah. Here's the thing with Mason Taylor, and I try to take off my LSU hat and put it aside. Here's the thing that I believe with Mason Taylor. If Mason Taylor played for any other team in the SEC, and let's say he was Mason Taylor for Kentucky or Ole Miss.
Right.
The theory on Mason Taylor, and this is from people that really like him, the theory is LSU didn't really know how to use him. They didn't maximize him. He's going to be better in the NFL. The list of players that play in major conferences that have been better in the NFL than they were in college is incredibly small.
Yeah.
And if he didn't play for LSU, we would be banging that drum all during draft season. We'd be like, and LSU people say, well, what about Danielle Hunter? Yeah, well, that's my point. Like the guys that were kind of meh in college that are awesome in the NFL, the list is very, very small. Terrell Davis, because he was hurt. Like the list is like 4 or 5 dudes, and that's a huge risk. And I think our purple and gold goggles, I put me in this list. I think our purple and gold goggles, we flush that aside and we say, well, Brian Kelly and that offense, they didn't know what they were doing. But it's like LSU, they didn't know they didn't know how to use Mason Taylor, but they got Jaden Daniels a Heisman. They got Malik Neighbors drafted in the top 5. They got the guy I'm losing the receiver for Jacksonville who was practically rookie of the year, offensive player of the year. Like LSU, they knew how to maximize all those dudes, but Jason Taylor they couldn't. So I admit
Mason
it. Like
Taylor. I think you said Jason.
What's that?
Yeah, I think
I did. That's his dad. Sorry, went full Ralph. I apologize.
It's all right.
But that's my point. Like LSU has maximized all these guys, all these receivers, all these players on offense. But Mason Taylor was like a Rubik's Cube. They just couldn't figure him out. They couldn't figure out how to maximize him. No. So like your argument is sound, but my LSU purple and gold I disregarded entirely.
Okay. Okay. Now, and the funny thing is, so I'm looking at I've got the Bleacher Report scouting report pulled up. They have him ranked as the 6th overall tight end in the draft class. And then here's the thing that needles me.
Mm-hmm.
Their pro comparison for him is one of my previous draft darlings, Tucker Kraft.
No, he's like a Hall of Fame. Me, this just behind the scenes. Because me and Kevin, we have the Sunday ticket. We have to watch the Saints and we peek on the red zone. Every time Tucker Kraft does something, or they had like a feature on him, but I just like text Kevin. I'm like, Tucker Kraft is rolling today. Tucker Kraft did this. Tucker Kraft saved the woman out of a burning building. Like he'll never leave us, Kevin. Me and you, just me and it's me. And you. Tucker Kraft will never leave us.
Right. But yeah, Mason Taylor at 71. I'm just not feeling it. Just not feeling it.
You are a tour de force of making everyone angry today. So next pick, who you got? 93.
All right. Pick 93. This one to me feels this one was the easiest.
Okay.
Raz is really good. 8.53.
By the way, I want to tell people this. I didn't realize this for Raz. The Raz score, if you just turn it into a percentile, what it means, like when you say his Raz is 8.93, that means he's better than 89% athletically than all the other dudes at his position the last 20 years or whatever. So that's, if you think of Raz that way, it's a little clearer. I did not realize that until recently. That's how you measure Raz.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So 8.53 out of a possible 10.
Mm-hmm.
Speed grade, great. Mm-hmm. Explosive grade, great. Composite agility, good. Composite size grade, poor. And that's so you combine the fact that he's an undersized defensive end. From a very small school.
Now you got the fans
school,
back on your side.
By small school, I mean FCS.
Yes.
And yet he is ranked very high. So he has the measurables. And so I would imagine that reputable places like PFF that would rank him this high obviously have seen something from him that say there's potential there.
Okay.
But for me, at 93, too high.
Okay.
Too high.
Who is it?
David Walker, defensive end from Central Arkansas.
See, he's got all the smells that the Saints love. He's got the Raz. He's got that small school smell. He's got the undersized defensive end. Like he's got like the Saints. He's tailor made for them. He's tailor made for the Saints to pick. Kevin. He may be hard for them to resist. He scratched every itch of Mickey Loomis. Every itch.
Not top 100. Just not.
Ralph's pants just got
pick 93. Not at pick 93. If this guy drops, and the Saints, I think the Saints have 113. But again, let's say they've traded down and they got another pick at like in the 120s or something, and they've already, let's say they get an edge defender higher. Let's say they get Princely U from Ole Miss.
I like how you did that. Well done, Princely U. Go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, we got to figure out something.
If they draft him, we'll have to figure out something.
Until we figure out how to say this guy's name, I got to figure an easier way to just get that out there without looking like a complete idiot.
We'll have to figure something out if the Saints pick him.
But
Roger Goodell will have, if they pick him in the second round, the secondary guy or a fan of the team, they'll have the card. They'll have it phonetically. We'll have to pay attention if the Saints draft it, but we'll worry about that then.
Yeah. Well, they may send a player out there to defend. But if you take an edge defender earlier and you're like, listen, we want to take a flyer on this guy. Again, same scenario I laid out with Siobhan Ravel. If you grab a corner
and you want to double dip,
yes. Or if you're filling out the slots and you've gotten an edge defender, guard, a wide receiver already, and you're going to say, well, let's take the corner and see what happens, but you take him later. Okay, that's fine. Same sort of situation here with David Walker. The edge defender depth chart is a little different because now it's a 3-4. So now you've got Cam Jordan and Brian Bresee, Saunders, Ridgeway, and Christian Boyd.
Yep.
On the other side. So because it's a 3-4, you may only need to take one edge defender that you expect to compete for a starting spot.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Maybe you take the flyer on David Walker, but not at 93.
Yeah.
If the Saints looked solid at wide receiver, if they were set up at guard, or if they had the secondary looking better than it already is, then again you could convince me that taking a flyer at 93 on this edge guy was a fairly good idea because other things look better or don't need to be filled in.
You can't. The Saints, these first 4 picks, you're talking first, second, and the 2 third-round picks. Their roster is such trash. They can't be buying scratch-off lottery tickets, in my opinion, until the 4th round. You can't be like, let's roll the dice on this dude. He's got a goat ACL, but his RAS is 9.5. Like the Saints, they can't be doing that until like after the third round.
Pick 112 is where you can start taking chances.
Yeah, like but before that, no. So, Kevin, I got to say though, I've seen people running their mock drafts and putting them on Twitter, putting them in the mock draft channel. I've seen people do the draft that you just did of your do not draft people, and people are like, yeah, that's a great draft. Oh, I'd crime for that draft. Like this, you're 4 players for the do not draft list. People would be real excited about it. Like you have angered Saints fans.
Listen, I've picked Ashton Jeanty in some of my mock drafts. I have picked Mason Taylor in some of my mock drafts. But you know what? I've done it later.
That's right.
I've traded back, and I've gotten Ashton Jeanty at 14 or 16, if he's there. And I look at it and I say, all right, I like him better than some of these other positions that I think we definitely need to fill. But I'll take him at 14 because I know I've got extra picks and I can take more chances at improving the offensive line. If you take Ashton Jeanty at pick 9 and you don't start grabbing guards, plural, or getting guys who could, or finding a tackle who can play guard or tackle, then I'm really screaming from the mountaintops.
Well, and here's my final thing with this.
Yeah.
It's, in my opinion, because the Saints are probably going to do, not with these guys specifically, but they're probably going to have one pick at either, I would venture to say, probably at 71, 91, or what did you say, pick 112? They're going to have one pick in that area where it's probably going to be a half a round higher than people like, maybe a full round than people like. And to me, in a draft, doing that once is okay. Like in 2017, the Saints traded up and got Kamara. And put the trade up thing aside, which everybody at the time was like, the Saints do not understand the draft. They're giving away a future second for Kamara. But people hated that. And a lot of people thought the Saints drafted Kamara too high. They were like, he went to Tennessee. He was at Alabama. He went to Tennessee, and he's like, "Why are you giving up a future second to get Kamara? That's insane." And it worked out. Kamara,
it absolutely worked out. Worked out better than anybody could have anticipated.
But my point is, if you have a draft where you've done that 2 or 3 times, and everyone is screaming at you, "What are you doing? That's bad." I'll give you another example. They drafted Rick Leonard. Wasn't even in Mike Detillier's book. In the 4th round. That dude was trash. So if you do that once in a draft, it's okay. But if the Saints have a draft and multiple people are like, they took 2, 3 guys way too high, I don't understand this, that's a red flag. If you do it once, it's okay. But I got to say, like, I don't know what this list, Kevin, I don't know what infuriates me more. Mason Taylor, or I think Mason Taylor, I understand it. I just can't put my LSU purple and goldness aside. But Ashton Jeanty's going to make the people angry, I would say. But let me tell you something, people, before we get out of here. Find us wherever you find podcasts on your social. Search us on Apple, wherever you get it, right? It's fine. The other thing, as I become blurry for some reason, go to saintshappyhour.com, patreon.com/saintshappyhour. And
this is what Ralph sees after he takes 3 shots of Malort.
Shots of Malort, and it all gets blurry. You're in the mind of Ralph Marlboro. But go to patreon.com/saintshappyhour. Support us. We need all the support we can get so we can keep doing this amazing show. Our community's amazing. You should join us. Do it. Thanks for Kevin. Thanks to Thomas for running the show back in Poland. Until next time, the bar is closed.